A doctor, a campground owner, a Mary Kay seller, and someone who does waxing. What do they have in common? You'll find out in this episode. Ready? Here we go.
Welcome to the Everything Email Podcast with Ken Countess. Ken is a world-renowned email marketing expert. He'll help you 10x your business with email strategies that generate more sales. And now, here's Ken Countess.
Hey, welcome to this week's episode of the Everything Email Podcast. I'm Ken Countess. We're at episode 97 or thereabouts. Thank you so much for listening. We've got listeners around the world. And if you haven't already subscribed to the podcast, make sure you go ahead and do that sometime in the next few minutes or so. This podcast is available. You can find it on my website, but also on Apple, Spotify, Google, iTunes, just about anywhere you get your podcasts. Okay, listen, let's talk about 4 different people that I spoke to actually today, the day I recorded this episode. One was a doctor. One was an owner of a campground. One was someone who sells Mary Kay products. And one was someone who is a franchisee for a business that does hair removal. So what do they have in common? Well, what they all had in common is this. They have leads and they don't know how to close them. Or they get inquiries and they're not sure what to do with the leads. Here's the thing. You're using email marketing, no matter what kind of a business you're in, to help you get closer to the person and get them ready to buy from you. And many people overthink this. Many people think that this email has to be really complicated. One of the people I spoke to said, well, how do I make this work? Sometimes these are people that I've done business with in the past, and I haven't done business with them in some time. So what do I do? Well, for people like that, you want to use an email marketing campaign to warm them back up as leads again. These are people who have done business with you in the past, so they already know who you are. You have a very easy way to reignite that relationship and get them back to the point quickly where they would choose to do business with you. With the campground owner, this is someone who attends shows and is out and about around town, has people staying at his campground. He wants them to come back. So in that example, you use email marketing to continue to build that relationship, to get them to think of vacationing at your campground first. The Mary Kay seller. Everybody knows the Mary Kay brand, but there are thousands of people selling Mary Kay. So how do you get them to want to do business with you? Well, you provide them information in an email campaign that's educational, that provides value without being salesy, because nobody wants to be sold to when they first open up an email from you. You want them to get to know you first. And when you get them to that point where they're willing to do business with you, the rest is magic. And lastly, the franchisee who does hair removal. Here's someone who bought a franchise, and the franchisor has email marketing as part of the package when someone buys a franchise, but they're not doing very much to cater to this person's specific customer base. And that's where, if you are a franchisee, you want to supplement what the franchisor is providing you. Because the franchisor is a big company typically, and they are doing what they can to spray with a broad brush. Think of it as a spray can rather than just someone who's fine-tuning and doing some fine art. What I mean by that is that the franchisor is probably creating email campaigns that they believe have a broad appeal. But the fact is that each individual franchisee has its own type of customer base. And so for that reason, they want to tailor their marketing to the people that would be their best clients. So here's the main point on all of this. Make sure that you're out there educating your clients and prospects. Don't be salesy. Build them up with an education. Have them get to know you better. Build a relationship with them. You've heard me say this on so many episodes. You're building a relationship with them online, much as you would do in person, but this time you're doing digitally. And for different kinds of businesses, it may take 2 to 3 emails before they get to the point, they meaning the recipient, get to the point where they're comfortable enough to do business with you. So for some, it's 2 to 3 emails. Some it takes much, much longer. If you have an impulse buy product, which most of us don't have, if you do have an impulse buy product, they may buy right away, but don't make that your expectation. Expect when you start an email campaign that it'll take several mailings over the course of weeks or months, but then the magic starts to happen. Keep with it. Check in with me. Let me know how you're doing. That's it for this week. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for listening to the Everything Email Podcast with Ken Countess. If you like the podcast, tell your friends and coworkers about it. Be sure to visit kenisemail.com to sign up for Ken's mailing list. You'll get great marketing tips every week in your inbox. Have questions? Send Ken an email. It's ken@kenisemail.com. See you next time.